Hi everyone, welcome to JavaTechie. If you are attending interview as a Java developer, then the first question you will get from the interviewer that what Java version you are using. Obviously, I believe maximum are using JDK 8 or Java 8 version. Even though you are using lower than Java 8, still interviewer will check your knowledge on JDK 8 and its features. So you should know each and every concept of Java 8 before attending any interview. So in this tutorial, I will cover all the possible interview question and answer of Java 8 and its features, which I personally experienced. Okay, so without any further delay, let's get started. So if you say I know Java 8, then the first question you will get that what all features you know about JDK 8. So here you can list down all the key features of Java 8 like functional interface. You can include default and static method of functional interface. Then Lambda expression. You can write a small POC to demonstrate how you can write the Lambda expression. Then you can tell to the stream API and its methods. Then you can also mention that you know about the completable feature, and you can tell them that what all method are there like run async, supply async, or how you can combine multiple feature object using this completable feature. Also you can explain Java datetime API. Okay, so these are the features you can highlight when you tell to the interviewer that you know Java 8. So don't worry, we'll discuss each and every features in this question and answer session. Okay, now the next question you can expect from the interviewer that what is functional interface. You can say an interface that contains only one abstract method is known as a functional interface, but there is no restriction. You can have n number of default and static methods inside a functional interface. Okay, so you can also demonstrate few of the inbuilt class given as part of the functional interface. Otherwise, you can write your own functional interface and tell them that this is how we can write the default and static method inside the functional interface. Now the next question you can expect, can you tell few functional interface which is already there before Java 8? So you can spell out runnable, callable and comparator. So if I'll go to the source code of any of the interface, let me go to my IntelliJ IDE. Let me go to this test class. So let me write here something called runnable, which is a interface. If I will go inside this runnable interface, you can see here this contains only one abstract method, and you can see here the annotation called @functional interface. This annotation is optional. If your class have only one abstract method, then that's enough to define that as a functional interface. Similarly, if you go and check in the callable, you can find a method called call inside the callable interface. You can see here, right? This is also one functional interface. Now interviewer might confuse you what is the comparator interface, and inside comparator interface there are two methods, equals and compare method. So let me show you the source code. Go to the IntelliJ, I'll go to the test, I will write here comparator. Now if we'll go inside the comparator, since we know that we can say functional interface if it has only one abstract method, right? But if you see the comparator, it is a functional interface, but if you see the method, there is a method called compare, which is completely one abstract method, and there is another method called boolean equals. Okay, but if you observe, there are a couple of default and static method. That is fine. Now the interviewer will ask, if equals method is there and compare method is there, there are two abstract method, how you can say this comparator as a functional interface, right? Yes, comparator is a functional interface because the equals is an abstract method overriding from the java lang.object. So this does not count as an abstract method. Okay, so if you go this equals, it inherited from your object class. Okay, so let me show you. You know, right, equals method is equals hash code, these methods are part of the object class. So this is inherited from the object class, not from this particular comparator interface. Okay, that is why we cannot count this as an abstract method as part of this comparator interface, right? Now let's move to the next question. Can you write one functional interface? Yes, we can write it. Let me show you how you can write a functional interface. So let me create a class here. Let's say something called API payment. I want to create a functional interface. So I just need to create an interface. Fine. Then here I'll write one abstract method. Let's say public um, string. No need to define public because all the method of interface will be public and abstract, right? Public string do transaction or something like that, or do payment. Give the source, give the destination account number. Just add this. You can remove this public. Now this you can say is a functional interface. So if I'll type functional interface annotation here, it will, there is no error. You can't find any compilation error. Now let me add another abstract method here. Let's say void test some method. Okay. Now if you see here, this guy is crying here because now it find two override method or two abstract method inside a interface. He will suggest you either if you want to use the traditional interface, then remove me. Otherwise, if you want to use the, or if you want to consider this as a functional interface, just keep only one abstract method. That is the reason this guy is crying now. Okay. So if I will remove this, it is fine. Similarly, you can write default and static method in a interface, which is a functional interface, right? Let me type some default and static method. Let's first write the default method. I will tell you the purpose when to use default method as well. Okay. Let's say double. Since we are just taking the example of API payment, there is an option called do payment, and some of the API payment also give us the feature to add a coupon or give a scratch card, right? So I'll just add something like scratch card. Okay, fine. Now if you observe, again this line is crying, right? Because this is what we want to define as a default method, not as an abstract method, right? Since you are defining the default method, you need to provide its implementation. Now here I can return something like return new random dot next double or something like that. Fine. Then also let me write one static method. So I'll just write something like static who will return me the different type of date pattern. I'll tell you guys, no need to worry. I'll tell you the purpose of using this default and static. First let me write the method so that I can explain you. Date patterns or something like that. String, you can define the patterns at runtime. Then here I can use simple date format, new simple date format. Then here you can give the pattern. Fine. Now here you can simply return date format dot format, right? And give the date, which is nothing, new date. So now here if you observe, as part of the functional interface, we define the abstract method, we define the default, and we define the static. You can define default and static method n number of count. I can define 5 default method, 10 static method. There is no restriction on that. Now let me tell you the purpose of this default method. Since this do payment is a abstract method, it will force to all my implementation to override this. Okay. But if you define a method as a default, it won't force your implementation class to override it. If someone want to override it, they can. If someone not, there is no restriction to override it. Let me tell you. See this API payment, we are just giving the get scratch card, right? So let me create a class called payATM. Then also let me create another class called Amazon Pay. Fine. If I'll go to this payATM, if I'll implement from the API payment, now if you observe here, implement methods. Okay, so do payment is my abstract method and get scratch card is my optional method or default method. So here it won't force me to override both. Since this do payment is a abstract method, you can only override that. There is no compilation error, right? If I want to give this get scratch card feature in my implementation, then it's up to me whether I will implement this or not. If you want to implement, either you can provide the parent or the superclass features. If you want to customize it, you can add it. Okay. Similarly, let me go to the Amazon Pay. There is no scratch card features, right? Let me implement it from API payment. Now let me override the method. Only do payment. This class is not crying because since the method is the default method and it is not forcing my implementation class to override it. Up to me, if Amazon Pay want to give this scratch card feature, he can override it and he can provide his own implementation. Now let's understand the purpose of using this static method. Okay, so guys, this static method will be act as a utility class. Since let's say I am creating some project and I can define a utility class and I can add few of the method which is widely used in my project, right? Or repeatedly I'm using that piece of code, so I can keep them as a static method in my utility class. But rather than doing that, you can keep it inside a same interface which is being used as part of your implementation. So let me simplify this. Let me go to the pay ATM. So when a user is doing a payment, I want to return the payment ID or some transaction ID as well as the date, at what date he did that transaction, right? So I can do something like API payment dot date pattern. You can specify the date pattern YY, then I will give then date. If you want, you can give time and all, but for let's add this for now. Okay, so I will just define a variable. I'll just give date tx date, something like that. This is what my transaction date. Since all the implementation want to use this date patterns method, so rather than create a separate utility class, I added in the same interface which is being implemented in multiple classes. If same Amazon Pay want to get the date pattern and all, he want to use that date pattern somewhere in that implementation, he can just simply call API payment dot date patterns. Okay, so in single word, this static method is nothing same as the utility method which usually we write in our project. Okay, so this is how all about the functional interface. You can define the abstract method, you can define the default, and you define the static. Even I explain the purpose of using this default and static method. Okay, I hope you are clear about this functional interface. Now let's move to the next question. Can we extend functional interface from another functional interface? Yes, we can extend, but if you extend that, your functional interface will not act as a functional interface because it will find multiple abstract method inside that. So let me show you that. This question I faced in JP Morgan. So let me demonstrate that. We created this functional interface called API payment, right? So let me create another functional interface. Let's say Java class. I'll create an interface. Let's name it something like test interface. Okay, this is my functional interface. I will just add one abstract method, public not required, void test. Now this is my functional interface because I have only one abstract method. Now the question here is, this functional interface API payment can extend this test interface. Let's try this out. Extends test interface. See here, Java will not have any restriction to not extend that. You can do that, but if you are doing that, then your interface, functional interface, will not act as a functional interface, because since this API payment extends from the test interface, now here you can see there will be two abstract method. For now, do payment is defined inside this API payment, but test method is inherited from this test interface. So if you see the error, you can understand. Multiple non-overriding abstract method found in interface this API payment. That is why it will not consider as a functional interface. You can remove this Now it will act as a normal traditional interface. Okay, so this is how you can extend, but if you are extending, your functional interface will behave as a normal interface. Okay, so let me remove this. That's fine. Now let's move to the next question. What are all functional interface introduced in Java 8? Okay, so you can spell out these name of the interface, function, predicate, consumer, and supplier. Now let me show you the source code of each functional interface. Let me go to the IntelliJ IDE. So let me go to the test class. I'll just type function. If you observe, it came from java.util.function package. Now if you go to the source code of this function interface, you can see there is one abstract method which is apply, and if you see the method signature, it will take the input and it will return the output. So there will be two, one is input, one is the return type, and apart from that, if you observe, all are the default and static method present inside this function interface. Now similarly, if you will go to the consumer, if you will go to the source code of it, there will also one abstract method which is accept, who will take the input but it will not return anything. Okay, and it also have one default method. Now similarly, just go to the what is that function consumer, and you can check the supplier. Go to the source code of supplier. It have only one abstract method who will just return the value, who don't have any argument. Similarly, you can go to the predicate. Predicate, if you will open the source code of it, it will return the boolean. It will just evaluate your expression and it will just return the boolean. Okay, and apart from that, there is default and static method, you can see here, but only one abstract method. So that is why these are the four interfaces defined or introduced as part of Java 8 as a functional interface. So guys, I will explain about these four interface while I cover the Lambda and Java 8 Stream API. I will cover all the use case, how to use these methods, okay, or how Java 8 Stream API internally using these methods. I will just cover, just wait for a few seconds. Once we'll move to the Lambda or Stream, I will cover all the use case. Fine. Now let's move to the next question. What is Lambda expression? So this is the theoretical statement. Lambda expression basically express instance of functional interface. In other words, you can say it provides a clear and concise way to represent a method of functional interface, okay, using an expression. So let me simplify this statement with an example. So this is just a expression to define your functional interface. Now let me go to the IntelliJ IDE. Since we know that runnable, callable, or function, consumer, these are the functional interface, let me take example of one. So let me take runnable equal to new runnable. Since this is an interface, I cannot create object of it, but I can create anonymous implementation of it, right? This is how I can create. Now this is, since this is a functional interface, now you need to understand how you can define this abstract method of this functional interface using Lambda expression. So the trick is very simple. I will tell you, just copy the method signature, okay, just paste it in your code, just remove the prefix, any method signature before your body or before your argument, you can remove everything. So this is what the body and this is what the Lambda expression. Let me format it properly and just define it, just add a semicolon, then define a variable which is nothing, runnable, right? I'll just give something like run. This is how you can simplify the method. So once again, let me show you in a simplest way. You just copy the method, remove all the prefix, okay, you have only this parameter, then just provide the expression. If you want, if there is a statement, you can define this, otherwise you can also remove this. Let me do something like sout run method. I just need to define a local variable, let's say uh, thread run or something like that, not here, okay, let it define as a th. Okay, now I can simply call new thread. Okay, then I can pass the instance of runnable dot start. Okay, or else you can do something like this, th dot run, but again that is not part of the multi-threading. You can call in this way. Fine. Now this is what we tried with the inbuilt interface given on Java. Now let me create a functional interface so that I can show you in simplest way how you can convert that statement to the Lambda. So let me clear this statement. I'll create a functional interface. We can use this API payment, but let me create a functional interface so that I can explain you in various way how you can familiar or how you can compare with the Lambda expression, writing the Lambda expression. Okay, so let me create an interface. My function. Okay, fine. Here I'll just define one abstract method. Let's say public, not required, void test. Let's assume this is taking some input. Okay, test I. Now this particular method I want to, since this is my functional interface, I just want to define Lambda expression for this abstract method. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just copy this. I'll go to my test class. First I will copy the method. Okay, since if you are writing the Lambda, first remove all the prefix, then you have only the method argument, right? Then just define the Lambda expression. Since if you go to the code, let me go to the my function method or interface, the method is not returning anything. The statement is, or the return type is void, right? So you can simply print something, test or something like that. Okay, and also if you are using Lambda, you no need to define the data type of your input. You can now introduce a local variable, not this one actually. We can define our interface name, which is my function. Fine. Let me check whether that, yeah, my function dot test. Now you can call test dot, what is the method name, test, and give some, okay, give some input. Let's say I'm giving 15. Now if you run this piece of code, it will print. Okay, let me add some different message, test method executed or something like that. Fine. Now if I'll run this, it will just display me this test method executed. Let me run this test main. It will take few seconds. You can see here test method executed. I can also create a class and implement from that my function interface, override the method and write something. But rather than doing that, simply that abstract method I converted to the Lambda expression. You will use this Lambda expression widely if you are working on Java Stream API. So let me define another way or another abstract method inside my function interface. Let's assume this guy having some return type. Let's say it is also returning something int. Okay, now you need to define this method. Let me copy this, go to the test class. Let's comment this out because we just defined different method, right, with the different signature. So just define the method as I explained. Remove the prefix, remove the data type, then just define the Lambda expression. Since this is having the return statement, you can do something like this, return I. Okay, I need to define it to the interface, my function something like that. I could do like this, but since you have only one statement, you no need to define this curly bracket. You can remove it. Okay, you can define something like this. Okay, let me, fine, you can do like this. Again, since there is no other statement, you have only one statement, you can remove this return statement as well. Now if you do something like sysout function dot test and give something like 15, it will just return the same what we are giving, right? That is what, there is no complex logic we have written inside this test. just giving some random integer. Okay, otherwise I could do something like this. Whatever the input you are giving, just multiply with 10 and return it. Okay, because that is what my return statement logic. So let me run this. I could directly run from here. You can see you are getting 150. That's fine. Now let's go to the interface. Let me add different method signature. Let's assume this guy is returning some int, or it is returning something like string, and I am having two argument, string s1, string s2. Okay, now this method I need to convert to the lambda expression. Let me copy this, go to your test class. Let me add a comment. The way to represent lambda expression is straightforward, guys. There is nothing to confuse. Just copy the method. Again I am repeating, just remove all the prefix, keep only the parameter, remove the data type of each parameter, then just define lambda expression, then add a curly bracket. Okay, now here, since this method of the return statement, you can do something like return. I'm just concat both the string s2. Okay, I'll add something like some dot. Fine, I just need to define this to the interface. Fine, since as I already mentioned, if you have only one statement, there is no need to add the return statement, and also you can remove the curly bracket. Fine, now if you will print s out function dot test and give the input, let's say abc def. Now if you will run this, you will get abc def. You can see here, right, abc colon def. That is what we are just adding in the return statement. So this is how you can define any complex abstract method part of the functional interface to the lambda expression. Now let me take you the example of this predicate supplier consumer function, any of the one. Let me take this function. Okay, since you know function is an interface, functional interface, and having the one abstract method who is having the input of type t, which is type generic, and also having some return type. So let me convert this method to the lambda expression. Let me go to the test class. I'll remove everything. I'll just add a method signature. Okay, so this will take the input and it will return something. So since I just want to write in a lambda, I no need to write any prefix. I'll remove it. Also I don't want to specify data type of it. Okay, so I'll just add a expression and I'll return something, return something, then I'll write a logic. I just need to define this to the function. Fine, now here you will take the input of any type and you will return something. Let me do something. Whatever I am taking the input, I just want to return string. Let me do something like this, output append with the input what you are giving, t. Fine, since I have only one statement, I can remove this. Also I need to remove this return. That's fine. I'm taking this as an input, then I'm just appending some string with the value. This input t I'll pass as a integer. Okay, so you can define here, guys, what will be your input and what will be your output. So my input will be integer, output will be string. Now you can do this s out function dot, what is the method name, apply. Okay, just apply something like, give the number. I'm giving something like 88, because if you observe, I'm specifying the type generic. This method will take the input as an integer and will return string. That is how the input will be integer. This lambda will be smart enough to understand that. You no need to worry about that. Once you define the type generic, your lambda expression will understand what will be your data type of input and output. Now if I'll run this, I'll directly run from here. You'll get something like output double it. That is what we are just returning here, right? Hope you got the complete picture of what is lambda and how to define a lambda expression. I just explained with various methods. You just give a try so that you won't find difficulty while defining the lambda expression. Now let's move to the next question. What is the advantages and disadvantages of lambda expression? So the advantages we just observe: avoid writing anonymous implementation. You no need to write implementation of runnable. You can define it as a lambda expression. Then it saves a lot of code. So if you observe, rather than just doing multiple line of code, I just convert that statement to a single line. Okay, so obviously it saves line of code. Now the next point, the code is directly readable without any interruption. So that is fine. If someone know that functional interface and lambda, the code will be easily readable. Okay. Now let me go back. Now the disadvantages: hard to use without an ID and complex to debug. Let me go to the IntelliJ ID. If ID will be not there, it will be difficult for me to write the statement, because let's do something like this. Now let's assume I am typing this. Okay, let me remove this. I'll return integer. Okay, 10, something like that. Now this is crying. Since I am using my ID, I will go to the this particular statement and I can understand bad return type in lambda expression. Int cannot be converted to the string. It means by seeing this ID, you understand the return type is expecting as a string, but we are returning as a integer, right? That is why if you are using ID, it is easy for you. Otherwise it is difficult for you. And apart from that, it is bit complex to debug the lambda expression if it is in a single stream pipeline. But since there is multiple plugin introduced recently, now that job is easier, but still there is some difficulty to debug the lambda expression. Okay, so these are the advantages and disadvantages of lambda expression. Now let's move to the next question. What is stream API in Java 8? Stream API introduced in Java 8, and it used to process collections of objects with functional style of coding using lambda expression. So to understand what is stream API, you must have knowledge on both lambda and functional interface. So I believe recently we discussed about both the feature. If you know these two things, then it will easy for you to play with this stream API. Now after this statement, interviewer immediately might ask you, what is stream in Java 8? Okay, a stream is a sequence of objects that supports various methods which can be pipelined to produce the desired result. I'll tell you a few of the feature of this stream. Also, I will explain how the methods can be pipelined using this stream. The feature of Java stream are: a stream is not a data structure. Instead, it takes input from the collection or arrays, and also the stream don't change the original data structure. They only provide the result as per the pipeline methods. So if I write something, get the stream and filter it, and give after filtration just return me that object, so it will just do the method you define in a single pipeline. It will not change any underlying ds. Okay, I will demonstrate this with code, guys, nothing to worry. Let me demonstrate one example using the stream. Let me go to the IntelliJ ID. So I will define something like list of integer. Let's say list equal to, I can define something like arrays dot as list. I can define few number here: 23, 4, 6, 8, 9, 1, 2, something like that, 10, something like that. Okay. Now here what I want to do, I want to filter out all the number who is greater than 4, and also I want to maintain the ascending order sorting. Okay, so first let me write the statement. If I will just add this, first I will just write a method to filter who is greater than 4, then I will get this number, right? Let's remove the 4, let's remove 1, let's remove 2. This is I will get. Now here, after getting this, I just want to sort this in a ascending order. I mean, I just want to represent it something like 6, then 8, 9, 10, what is 23. That's fine, right? Now first I want to filter out all the number which is greater than 4. After filter you will get a response like this. Now once I get the filter response, I just want to maintain the sorting order. Then later either I can print it or I can return as a list. Okay, so how we can do that using stream. First statement, always if you have a group of objects, just convert that to the stream. So if you can do dot stream, then it will convert to the stream object. Now here you can add lot of pipeline method. Since first we just want to filter, you can add filter here method. Now if you observe the filter method, the argument is nothing, the predicate interface. This is one of the functional interface, right? And if you go inside this predicate, we are having the method called test. Now here you just need to define, go to the test, you need to define the lambda expression of your predicate method. So let me do that so that I can explain you in a better way. Let me copy this method, go to the test class, just define this predicate. Otherwise first let me define the method, then I will convert it to the lambda. This is what the method, right? I want to convert this to the lambda, so just remove the prefix, then just remove the data type of your argument, just define a lambda expression. Okay, here I just simply want to do return. I just want to filter who is greater than 4, right? I can do something like this, t greater than 4. I can just evaluate this statement. So let me define predicate equal to this. So I just simply I just need to evaluate whether the input is greater than the giving number or not, right? I can define the type generic integer. Now here I'm simply just writing the giving input is greater than 4. I can pass this predicate here, it will work. Okay, since this is a single statement, I can remove the return statement. Also I can remove these braces. This is how I can define. Rather than define here, you can also define the same inside also there is another thing. If there is a single statement, you can also remove this argument. Okay, now I can define this predicate here. Okay, rather than create a different predicate instance and all, since this filter is accepting the argument as a predicate, I can pass this lambda statement or lambda expression inside this filter. This is how all the concept is in sync, guys. If you know functional interface, then it will easy for you to understand the lambda. If you know both of them, then it will easy for you to understand the stream. This is how you can define. Now after filter, I will get this statement, right? Simply I just want to sort it. So just do sorted in a ascending order. Then I just want to iterate it. Okay, or I just want to print it. So I will do something like this, s out, just print it. Fine. So if you observe with this stream object, I am performing all the method data manipulation logic in a single stream pipeline. Okay, it will not change anything. Whatever the input you are giving, you will get the desired output. It will just process as per your pipeline method. Okay, now let me run this. You will find all the element. Okay, where is the 10? Why it's coming? Okay, this guy. Let me comment this. Now you're getting 6, 8, 9, 10, 23. This is what our expected, right? Hope this is clear for you. Now let's move to the next one. Since you observe here, dot for each, I'm writing s out or system.out.println of t. Now it is giving me some indication. This ID is giving me some hints to do something. Now if you observe here, lambda can be replaced with the method reference. Rather than writing system.out.println, you can simply replace this to the method reference. Now immediately it comes to your mind, what is method reference? So this method reference is a shorthand notation of a lambda expression to call a method. Since this println, if you will go to the println, this is a method present inside printstream class, right? So you can directly call that using this static reference. So for example, to simplify this, let me create a method here. I will not going to use this sysout static method. I will write my own method. Let me write something like public static void print element or something like that. You can give any method name. I'll take the input which will be int I, and I'll just print it s out, print this I. Okay, why this guy is crying? Oh, okay, my bad. I'm writing method inside method. Just take it outside. I'll just write up to this main method. Okay, now rather than use this for a system.out.println, since this is my static method, I can refer to that method using my class name. What is the class name? Test. Correct? Now I can call this method by this signature add the double colon. Since this is my static method, I can directly call with the class name print element. Okay, and whatever the input you are giving, we are just printing inside this method. This will also do same as sysout. Now let me run this test main. You can see here the result, right? Now you might have a question, since this is a static, we just call it using the println method, or directly we just did test double colon print element method. Now let's make it non-static or instance method. Now this guy will cry. Why? Because this method can be accessed using the instance only, because this is the instance or non-static method. So for that, what you can do, you can create an object of test equal to new test. Then using instance reference, you can call this method test double colon println. Okay, so method reference can be two types. It can be static method reference, you got the output here. It can be static method reference, or it can be instance method reference. If you have any static method and you want to access that inside any of the stream pipeline, you can directly call using the class name. If you have that instance method and you want to use that as a method reference, then you can just simply create the object of that and you can call the method. Okay, so this is what all about the method reference. Now let's move to the next one. Go to the presentation. We also discussed what is method reference in Java 8. Now let's move to the next one. Interviewer might ask you, spell out few stream methods you used in your project. So you can tell the methods which you really know. Don't add any random method from the stream documentation. They might ask you question deeper on that. Okay, so I can mention something like I used filter, for each, sorted, map and flat map, reduce method, grouping by, then count, collect. There are many more methods I used, but these are the methods so far I can remember. Okay, this is how you need to convince to the interviewer. And also I will discuss few programming question using this grouping by, which I faced in one of the interview question recently. I didn't remember the company name, but using this grouping by I got a question. I will tell you that in a moment. Okay, so you can spell out few more methods if you know about that. Now let's move to the next one. When to use map and flat map. This is one of the common interview question. If you are mentioning Java 8, then most probably you will get this question. So let me demonstrate the use case when to use map and flat map directly. Let me go to my IntelliJ IDE. So you can see here in my IntelliJ IDE I have a class called user. If you observe inside this user, I have three fields: name, phone, and list of email ID of that particular user. Now what I want to do, I will first show you when to use map, then later I will tell you when to use flat map. Okay, let's go to our test class. Let me zoom this. Yeah, so let me add list of user. Okay, so I already created a stream of user object, then I converted to the list. Now you can see the new user, user 1 having one phone number but list of email. Similarly user 2, one phone number, then list of email. Now let's assume you have a requirement to gather all the phone number of all the users. So what you can do using this stream, only I want to gather the phone number, not all the field from the list. Let's assume we are getting this user object from the database and there is some requirement. You just want to list out all the phone number of all the user present in your database. So what you can do, users dot stream. First step, you always need to convert to the stream. Then you can use map. What you want only the email. Okay, Here you can use the method reference. If you know the class name, user, then get email. Okay. So this get email present inside this user class, and that is what you are using. So directly you can get this get email method using the method reference. Now you want to collect to the list and you want to return it back to the API or your application. Let me add it. What is this? Phone number, something like that. Now I will just print it. So let me run this. Okay. Get emails. Not this one actually. I just need to get the phone number, right? User dot get phone. It will be string only, right? Okay. I just defined the wrong list of string. I will tell you. I will come to that point when I face with the email, right? So let me run this. See here, we are getting the phone number in a list. Okay. Now you have a requirement. You understand how to get a single field from the object or the list of object using map object. If you want to just get a name of the all the users, you can just do get name and you can get it. Let me run this. You're getting the name as a list. Okay. So this is what you can do using the map. If in your class having a single field, then you can directly use the map. But if you will go to your user class, this email is not a single field. It is a list of object, right? One user can have many email ID. So in this one to many scenario, always it's recommended to use the flat map. I will tell you what difficulty you will find if you are using map instead of flat map in case of one to many. Okay. So let's go back to the test class. So here what I'll do, I'll just use users dot stream dot map. Then I'll just get the what is that, user dot get email, user dot get email. Then I'll just collect that as a list, simply assign a local variable. Let's say let's name it lists. I'll just print it. Now if you observe here, the return type is list of string, but I just want list of string as a all the email, right? But if you are using map, this is how you will not get a structure or required patterns or required format you want. Okay, because the scenario is one to many, so rather than use map, better to use the flat map. But let me run this so that I can show you the output as well. You are getting in this format because list inside list, this list for user 1, this list for user 2, but I just want to display only all the email in a single list. So in that case, whenever you have one to many, one user can have multiple email. Whenever you have list of object or what I can say, array of object, then always recommended to use the flat map. Now here what you can do, rather than use map, use the flat map. And here, because user dot get email, it won't work because inside this email we are using list of string, right? So what you can do, you can simply do, let's say user object u dot get email as a string. Okay, because we have list inside list, that is how, or I can say stream inside stream. So you just need to convert the, or you just need to get the email stream. So now we can change the return type the list of string. Okay, now if you will run this, you will get all the email in a single list. You can see here, right? The format changed because earlier we are just using the map, so that it also suggests you to return as a list of string. Because if you observe, once again I'm repeating guys, because this is frequently asked interview question. If you want to fetch single element from the list of object and that is a single attribute, then you can use the map. But if you have a scenario something like one user can have multiple email or one to many scenario, and you want to fetch something from this list or many, then you always recommended to use the flat map. Fine. Let's move to the next one. We understand when to use map and flat map. Now the next question is two programming question. These two programming question I recently faced in JP Morgan interview. Okay, they gave me one scenario and they strictly mentioned that use the Java 8 stream API. Write a program using stream to find frequency of each character in a given string. So let me go to the IntelliJ IDE. Let me close all, guys. Close all tab. Go to the project. Open me the test class. Okay. So let's assume here you have string. I'll just give something like string input. I'll give my name. Okay. Now here frequency of each character, B how many time occurrence in this string, or A how many time present in this string, that I need to print using Java 8. So first what I can do, I just need to convert this string to array and I will split based on the single quote so that I can get each character, right? So what I'll do, I'll just simply do arrays dot stream, keep the string and just split it. So what is the input I'm taking? Input, right? Input dot split it using this. Okay, so that you'll get each character B, then A, then S, like that. Now the next step, what you need to do, you just need to use, there is a method in Java, you can directly use the group by method. Okay, I'll tell you, there is a method called grouping by or collectors grouping by. Okay, so just use that, or else I can just define this as a static method, guys, or static reference. More action, import static method. Okay, Java util stream collectors dot grouping by. Now inside this method, what you need to do, there is two direct method given by the Java 8 stream. You can use function dot identity, and another one you can directly use counting. Okay, just add a semicolon here. Now I will tell you, rs.stream, I am just converting this string to the string array by splitting with the single, there will be no space. Okay, single quote. Then I am just collecting them and I am just grouping them by a character and their count, number of occurrence. Okay, now I will just define this. Okay, introduce local variable, count map or something like that I can define. I'll just print this map, or you can, if you want, I will print something like this, count map dot entry set dot for each. Okay, you can define key value, but for now since this is a string, I can just do sysout count map. Okay, now let me run this. You will find occurrence of each character. Now if you observe, A occurs 2 times, B 1 time, S 1 time, T 1 time, and N 1. If I'll add another A, if I'll run this, you'll find A count will be 3. You can see here, right? A count will be 3. So this is how you can write a method to find the frequency of each character in a given string using Java Stream API. So you no need to by heart this method name, guys. If you play with the Java 8 methods, you will understand functionality of each method. Okay, this function dot identity will nothing give you the each character, and this counting will evaluate the number of occurrence. Fine. Now let's move to the next one. Assume you have list of employee in various department. Write a program to find highest paid employee from each department. Okay, so this is the another question same I faced in the JP Morgan. So you just need to write a program. Let's assume you have a list of employee object. You need to find out highest paid employee from each department. Okay, so this is very simple, guys. I'll just explain you with the code. Let me go to the IntelliJ IDE. So okay, we have this list of employee here, right? I just added, earlier I created this dummy data. I have employee 1 2 3 4 5 employee, and 2 from dev, 2 from QA, 1 from DevOps, and there are some salary. Okay, So what I need to do, I need to group employee by department first. Okay, how I can do that? You have the employees, just use the stream. Okay, then just use collect, just use collectors dot grouping by. With which field you want to group? I just want to group by department. It will just display key as a department name and value as a list of employee belongs to that department. Okay, so simply I can do method reference employee dot get department. If I'll run this, or if let me assign it to the local variable, I'll give something like employee map. Fine. Now if I'll print this employee map, sys out employee map, let me print this. You can see here QA, these are the two guys from the QA. Again, department has a key and there is one object from the DevOps. Similarly, department is dev, there will be two objects for dev. So simply I just group by department. That is the straightforward method given in the Java 8. You can directly use this group by method, guys. Okay, this method grouping by. Now once I group the employee list of employee object by department, I need some comparator to compare the salary for each object, right, based on the employee salary. So I just need to create a comparator dot grouping by, or what is the method, something like comparing, yeah, comparator dot comparing based on employee dot salary, right? So I can define one variable for that, compare by salary. Fine. So we just did group by each department. Then once from each department, once we found the list of employee, I want someone to compare based on the salary. So what I can do, first let me format this so that it will be easily readable for you. Grouping by. Fine. Now here we are just doing grouping by. Now next I need to compare by salary. So what I can do here, simply I can do collectors dot reducing. There is a method. Okay, it will take the identity and binary operator. So I will just use this binary operator one. I can use binary operator dot marks by salary. This is what the comparator I created. Just remove this. I want only one argument. Okay, so this guy is crying. Let me format this. Okay, add one more bracket. Not required. I believe because of the return type. Let me change the return type. I want object and, or I want the highest paid salary from the department, right? Department name, then highest paid salary. So I will just define a variable who will return me the string as a department, then the object. Okay, I'll just name it same employee map. Fine. So this is very simple, guys. We are just grouping by the department. Then we just created one comparator to compare from each department based on the salary. Now if I'll print the employee map, if I'll run this code, you can find here from the QA, the guy ID 9 Deepak, he is getting highest salary. From the DevOps, only one user, so this is straightforward. From the Dev, Santosh is giving or getting 80,000. Now if you see here, Dev we have two, Vasant and Santosh. One is getting 80,000, one is getting 50,000. So the highest paid is 80,000 from the Dev department. So key will be your department and value will be optional of your, or you can say simply the object who is getting the highest paid salary, or the employee who is getting highest paid salary. Okay, this is what one you can do. I can name it approach one. There are multiple way, guys, you can do it. Let me try with the different approach one, and then I'll try with the approach 2 as well. Okay. Approach 2 is also a simple one. You just need to understand the syntax. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this. Okay. Employee.stream. Okay. Dot collect. So I'll just format it. Okay. Collect. Then you can simply do collectors. Okay. Dot grouping by. Fine. In this grouping by again, you can write a logic. First, I want to group by the department. Employee dot grouping by get department. Then I'll collect and then I'll do something. Collecting and then there is a method. Okay. Collecting and then here you can give the marks by method, and inside this marks by you can tell comparator dot comparing double by the salary. Okay. So it might, the syntax might looks complex, but if you understand the method, it will easy for you. So I'll just do marks by comparator comparing double. Okay. Then you can give here just compare using the salary, and once you compare, just give me the optional dot get. I'll just add a semicolon here. Now just define a local variable. I'll also give the name employee map1. See guys, here again I'm grouping by the department, then I'm just collecting and then marks by, this is the see the same thing what I wrote here, comparator dot comparing by employee dot get salary. Rather than I did outside, I did here using this method. Okay. Marks by here also I am using. So the method signature is a bit different, the purpose is same. You can understand once you play with the all the method of Java 8. Okay. Now I'm getting the, okay, let me run this. Is out employee map 1. So let me comment this. Now let's run this. See here from the QA, same guy Deepak. From the dev, one user, employee Santosh, who is getting 80,000. This is how you can write the program in the Java 8 stream. If someone will ask, just try to play with the couple of method guys. These are the common question you will face whenever you are attending. Nowadays, no one is asking, I'm giving a list, just filter it out using Java 8 stream. They will try to check your knowledge, how you are comfortable on the functional interface and Lambda method reference and Java 8 stream method. Okay, so you need to prepare well for that. So now let's move to the next one. Let's go to the presentation. Stream versus parallel stream in Java 8. Okay. You can explain in simple word. Both are used to process group of object. However, stream execute in a single core of your machine with sequential flow, where parallel stream uses multiple core of your machine. So if you can see this diagram, if you are using stream, it will just use the single core of your CPU or your system. Okay. If you are using parallel stream, all the thread will use multiple core of your system. So you can see this order, right? Since parallel stream uses multiple core, definitely you will achieve better performance if you are using parallel stream. But again, it's always not recommended to use parallel stream. Whenever you are doing some read operation, then you can go ahead and use parallel stream. For write operation, to maintain the consistency, it's always recommended to use the stream, not parallel stream. Okay. Now let me show you with example how this two will work. Okay, how this parallel stream uses multiple core of your machine. So let me go to the IntelliJ IDE. Let me minimize this. In the test only I will write a, here only I will write. So let me add something here. Int stream dot range closed. I just want to iterate from 1 to 10, and I will show you what all thread are getting involved in stream and parallel stream. Okay, dot for each, then I'll just print that value using the thread name. Okay, sys out thread dot current thread dot get name and the number which I am returning. Okay, first I just need to convert to the stream. Fine. REAM. Yeah. Okay. So this range closed. Yeah, it will already give you the int stream, so no need to convert again in a stream. So this is what for stream. Then I'll just add a line here. Then I'll just copy the same signature. Again using parallel stream, I will show you the number of thread using your core. Okay. So I'll just specify here parallel dot for each. So the first statement will execute in sequential flow and the second statement will execute in parallel. Okay. Here I am using plain stream. Here I am using parallel stream. Now let me run this test. So if you observe the output, main T, it's not printing the number. Okay. Yeah. So I need to print this T, not in the double quote. T is nothing, the in stream you are emitting from your in stream dot range closed. I'll just remove this. Now let me run this. Yeah. So if you observe in normal stream, all the execution is happen on your main thread. That is what, if you can see this diagram, all are using the single core and nothing, that is the main thread of your application. Okay. And if you see the parallel stream, it get the thread from the fork join pool, thread pool, and it started executing. One is execute on the main and other took the thread from the thread pool and it started executing. You can see here 13, 29, 32, 210. These are the different thread using your different core of your machine. Okay. So this is what the difference between stream and parallel stream. And if you observe here, let me show you the number. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just add some space here because the thread name append with the number, so it is not clearly visible. Let me segregate it. So if I'll run this, again the thread will be different, right? I'll just show you. See here, the worker thread 1 execute 3, 2, 5, 1, 4, 9, 10, 6. If you observe, the order of execution is not in a sequence, right? You are not getting 1 to 10. There is some 1 to 10 with the random thread based on the thread execution. Okay. So another point of difference between stream and parallel stream, the flow of execution is sequential. Here the flow of execution is parallel. Okay. And definitely, since it is using your multiple cores, if you compare the time for execution, you will definitely get the better time in case of parallel stream. I hope you got complete picture about stream and parallel stream. Now let's move to the next concept, that is completable feature. We'll discuss few of the questions from this completable feature. So first question, what is completable feature? Okay. So completable feature is not something new. This is just enhance of feature object which was introduced in JDK 5. So in short, completable feature is used for asynchronous programming in Java. Asynchronous program is a mean of writing non-blocking code by running a task on separate thread rather than execute all the thread in a main. Okay. And the other advantages of using this completable feature, the thread will notify once it is done with his execution. Whether it is complete or whether it is failure, thread will notify. This is what the reason of completable feature, or you can say this is just being used to achieve asynchronous and non-blocking API execution. Okay. Now the next question, why completable feature? Why not feature object? So feature object was introduced in JDK 5 as I already mentioned, but there are some disadvantages of using this feature object. You cannot be manually completed. The feature object, once you execute, until unless you will not call .get method, it will not complete the execution. Okay, it will keep blocking your thread. It will not release the what I can say. It cannot release the result until you call the get method. Okay, that is why it is difficult to complete the feature object manually. Now next, multiple features cannot be chained together. Let's say I created 5 feature objects. I cannot chain feature 1 dot do something with feature 2 dot do something with feature 3. I cannot do that job using this feature object, which you can do using the completable feature. Now you cannot combine multiple features together. Similarly, let's say I created 5 feature object, feature 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I cannot sum all the future object and I cannot consolidate the result, because we never know which thread will execute fast or who will go block for long term, right? And the fourth one, no exception handling. So in future implementation, there is no proper exception handling. These are the four major disadvantages of using future object. To overcome that, completable future introduced in Java 8. So these are the theory statement I just given to you. But if you want to know more practical example, you can go to my YouTube channel and then you can search filter here, completable future. Not this one. You can type something called future. You can find here Java 8 completable feature tutorial with example. Here I explain each and every disadvantages with the proof of concept. Okay, you can refer this video. I will add the link in video description so that all the related content what I discussed so far, you can get the exact context from there. Now let's move to the next one. How to decide thread pool size. This is again one of the interview question I believe I faced in Oracle. So how to decide thread pool size? It depends on the type of task you want to execute, whether you want to do any CPU intensive task or IO intensive task. If you are using CPU intensive tasks such as cryptographic hash function, then max thread pool size should be equals to the number of core in your processor. For example, a 4-core processor can only run the 4th thread at a time. So the thread pool size should be 4 if you are using any CPU intensive task. But again, if you are using any IO intensive task such as any database operation or HTTP call, where a thread have a tendency to wait after requesting for the resources, in such case, max thread pool size should be larger than the number of core processor. For example, for a thread pool size 20, if 16 thread are waiting for resources or they are blocked, other 4 thread will take the concurrency task and they can execute with the 4 core of processor. Okay, it depends. You need to evaluate the core size of your machine and which task you want to perform, whether it is CPU intensive task or IO intensive task. If it is a CPU intensive task, then you need to define one. If your machine having the 4 core, then you just define the 4 core. But in case of IO intensive task, you need to define a more number of thread to perform any database or HTTP operation. Okay. Now the next question, write a program to print even and odd using 2 thread. This is one of the common interview question. If you say that you know the thread execution, they will just want to check how you are playing with the wait and notify method. Okay. The main goal to achieve this program using wait and notify. So let me show you in Java 7. Then I will try to write it using the Java 8 completable feature. Okay. So just go to the IntelliJ IDE. Let me minimize this. In Java 7, this is straightforward. What you can do, you can create an object and then pass it to the constructor. Just create a counter variable, or you can say int I equal to 1. Then keep looping that I until the desired number. You can keep 10, 20. The reason here, I just want to print one thread will print even, then another thread will print odd. Similarly, keep going process up to 10 number. Okay. So here what I am doing, just check whether the number is even or odd. If it is a even, and check whether that thread who is doing that job having the name even or not. Then I am just synchronizing that object. I am just printing that, then increasing the counter variable, and then I am waiting for few seconds so that other thread will execute. He will print the odd number. Let's say 1 to 10, right? This guy will print. This will print the even, right? This will print 2. This thread will print 3. Again, this will print 4. This guy will print 5, like that. Okay. This piece of logic to evaluate the what I can say even number with the even thread name, and this piece of code to evaluate odd number with the thread name odd, and they will just execute. Once this will execute inside the synchronized block, it will notify to the other thread, this thread, even thread, I am done, you start execute. He will do execute, he will wait, then he will tell to the this thread, you execute. Like that, they will keep communicate with each other using wait and notify. Now, this is the simple approach if you are using Java 7 multi-threading concept using runnable or callable, whatever. Now, I will show you how you can do that using completable feature. And interviewer will expect you to do that using completable feature, because this approach you can directly find it from the Google. Okay. So they just want to test how you are comfortable on the completable future concept and how you are playing with the wait and notify. So let me create a class, new Java class, um, even odd printer or something like that. Fine. Now here what I need to do, I just need to create a main method. Then next what I'll do, I'll write a method who will take the input as a number and will keep printing with the append with the thread name. Okay, here everything will use, you will use the Java lambda method reference, everything we will use. So I'll just write a method public void execute. You can define this as a static so that I can show you the static method reference. Then I'll just give a number, int number. Fine, I will create an object here so that I can lock on that particular object. Private static object, object equal to new object. Then here what I can do, synchronize that object. Fine. Then simply I'll do sysout thread name. I'll just want to print the thread name, thread dot current thread dot get name. Then the number which I am printing. Fine. Then here I'll just use object dot notify object dot wait. Okay, so this will throw you the interrupted exception. Just catch that, or using the try catch I can add it here, and all the statement I will keep inside the try block. Fine. Now I will create two conditional statement using predicate, one for even, one for odd. So what I'll do, I will just use private static something like int predicate, I guess. Yeah, int predicate even condition e or number, whatever name you can give, e percentile 2 equal to 0. I already explained you right how to play with the predicate functional interface. We will return you the boolean value. So same I am doing here. Then I just need to define another for odd condition so that I can give these to my two thread. Odd condition e percentile 2 not equal to 0. Fine. Then I will write another method. Let's say public who will also do the print. I will also define the same as static print number or something like that. Okay, we'll take the condition in predicate condition. Then I'll just call this execute method. So to call this execute method I need to give the number here, right? So what I'll do, I'll just use int stream dot close range closed. I'll give, I just want to check with the 1 to 10, 1 to 10. Then simply just for each iterate it and just call this execute method, give the number. Fine. So what is the class name? Even odd printer, even odd printer, give the execute. This is what the method reference just we discussed few minutes back, right? So I'm giving these two. In the for each I'm simply calling this method and giving the number one by one, 1 2 3 like that, and based on the condition I just need to, my thread need to decide which thread will execute, whether even thread or odd thread. Fine. Now we are done. What we need to do, we just need to create two thread object. So I will directly create using CompletableFuture dot run async. If you observe, run async argument is runnable. So I can directly use the lambda here. Fine. So I will simply call the method even odd printer. The method name is print number, right? And give the condition. So I will begin with the 1, right? 1 will be odd. So I will give the odd condition. So that, what is that name? Odd condition, right? Fine. Now I will initiate another thread who will deal with the even number. I will give here even condition. Fine. Then simply what I'll do, I'll just sleep my thread for few seconds. Thread dot sleep. I'll give for 1000 millisecond. Just add this exception to the method signature. So there is nothing complex. If you see the code here, I just defined two int predicate to evaluate whether the number is even or odd. First one for even, second one for odd. And then if you backtrack from the reverse direction, I just write a method to print the number and then play with the thread wait and notify. Then I just write another method to print that number. I'm giving the number from 1 to 10 through the int stream. Okay, and I'm just calling that execute method. Who will take the input, print it, then he will just wait and notify to the thread. And there is the way I'm creating two thread using completable feature. Now let me run this piece of code. Okay, you can see here 1 1 2 2. Okay, there is a mistake. Why two times? Okay, so I believe I didn't pass the condition, right? Yeah, so I'm just iterate, or I can say I'm just emitting from 1 to 10. I just need to filter it based on the condition I am giving, right? So that same condition can be passed from the thread odd or even. Now let me run this. Fine, it works now. This thread print the odd number, thread 2 worker thread 2 printing the even number. You can check here 1 3 2 4 5 is odd printing by the odd thread, 6 is even printing by the even thread. Okay, this is how you can write this using completable feature. And if you observe here, all the concept is implemented here. You can find the functional interface, you can find the method reference, or you can find the lambda here. You can find the stream pipeline method and method reference, like that. So if you know all the concept of Java 8, then it will easy for you to build a logic using the method signature or the syntax. Okay, so I believe I have listed down these are the questions. Do let me know in comment section if I missed any questions or you want me to ask any question from the Java 8. You can add a comment. Okay, and if you like this video, please do like and subscribe my channel and share this across tech communities. Thank you. That's all about this particular video, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Meet you soon with a new concept.